Welcome back to the Cold Start Corner, your source for the Practice Launchpad to bring that practice ownership vision to reality. I'm Eric Matei, and in this episode, we are wrapping up. We've been talking about the last few episodes, and that is your office location and build out. So you'll recall we started this process with the planning phase of your build out. So it started with your vision, then quantifying and monetizing that vision in your financial forecast and feasibility analysis, and then creating the blueprints that's going to map out how to bring that vision to reality in your strategic business plan. From there, now we're in this development phase, and we've been spending these last few episodes exploring the starting point of your development phase, which is your office location and build out. And the goal here is to find that ideal location best suited to your vision, budget, and goals. So we kicked it all off a few episodes ago from that starting point. As y'all know, my favorite starting point, and that is all about the budget. So budget management. And you'll recall we were talking about budget management, the importance of taking that master budget that you first created in financial forecast and feasibility analysis, and now bringing it forward and applying more details around the build out. From there, we jumped into your market analyses, most notably your demographic analysis and your competitive analysis. Why? Again, optimizing that location to ensure that you're going into an office location that's best suited to your vision, budget, and goals. From there, in the last episode, we jumped into lease negotiation, where you'll recall we kind of touched on a high level in introduction to exactly what your general lease terms are going to be. We also discussed there the importance of surrounding yourself with a team of experienced professionals, consultants, and realtors to be sure that all of this is really being done in your best interest. And why is that? You'll recall your office location and build out. That build out renovation is going to be your single largest startup cost. And depending on where you are in your practice life cycle, that occupancy is going to be among your single greatest expenses when you come to be operating. And heck, look, that aside, when we're talking about a 10-year lease, you may very well find yourself, depending on what market you're in, paying upwards of $700,000 or $800,000 plus over a 10-year period just to be in that space. So again, all this stuff is really important that you're giving due diligence to these decisions. So here we are today. We're in the fourth of 4 episodes around office location and build out. And this is all about design, furnishings, and equipment. And this is really exciting. I will say this, in working with a lot of emerging practice owners across the country, helping them through their cold start or through their purchasing of a practice. This is where a lot of folks get really excited, right? Because this is where you really start to take what before was just kind of like some analyses and spreadsheets and financial models and the blueprints of the business plan, and this is where we start to actually kind of like see a tangible component to it. So design, furnishings, and equipment is really all about optimizing things, again, suited to your vision and future goals. And I cannot stress that enough. And the reason being is because you'll recall when you're signing this lease, whereas renting an apartment or renting a home, you're looking at 12 to 24 month leases, right? With commercial leases, you're typically going to be invited and asked to sign a 10-year term lease. So that being said, it's really important to kind of get an idea of what the trajectory of things will be over the next 10 years. 36,000 days. That's a lot of days. Or 3,600 days. That's a lot of days. So office design based on your vision and future goals. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about design, equipment, and furnishings. Well, the first starting point that I know is really exciting for a lot of folks, and I'll say our team included, right? Because even though we kind of get into a lot of this technical stuff, we love seeing this stuff become tangible, right? And the starting point there is going to be floor plan. And you can just kind of imagine in your mind's eye how floor plan is a really, really important aspect of it, particularly as it pertains to what is that scope of care and services you are providing. So we can just think for a moment what that patient journey and patient flow will look like in, say, a high medical practice environment with a lot of advanced testing and diagnostics and what have you, and in-office treatments, in comparison to, say, perhaps a boutique independent optical. And think of what that patient flow and the floor plan requirements would be of that. So again, this one of these first most important aspects of your design optimization and furnishings and equipment is going to be that floor plan. From here, and by the way, I suppose we're kind of listing these not really in an order per se, because as I'm sure you've come to notice, our whole team at Akrinos likes to put master budget number one. Why? Because these are businesses. And at the end of the day, if that budget's not being met and we're not having money coming in the door and have sufficient cash flows, it's not a recipe for success. So that being said, we're talking about design optimization, furnishings, and equipment. We talk about floor plan, but we also talk about master budget. And just as we had discussed previously, some other aspects of incorporating your budget, go back into your financial forecast and feasibility analysis. By the way, if you need a refresher on that, you'll see a deep dive into that stuff in episodes like 2 through 5 of the Cold Start Corner. Go back to your financial forecast feasibility analysis, pull it off the shelf, and now use that file and that document to build from with these different variables and itemizations around the design, furnishings, and equipment. What's next here? What's next here is the importance of working with a design team and or architects that have experience in eye care. Because the fact is this, we're in a highly specialized industry, definitely a niche, the likes of which there are some very unique aspects, design elements, patient flow, what have processes, what have you. So it's really important to work with an architect or a designer and really someone who has experience in eye care and understands the spatial needs and considerations of maintaining both that optimal clinical flow as well as that optimal retail flow in the optical. So of note also here, while we're talking about architects and designers, also is going to be the role of that general contractor. And you may recall we touched a bit regarding budget management with the contractor in that first episode on Office Location Buildout when we were talking about the master budget for your build out. But the reason why we're bringing contractor up again here is because it's really important that these parties are on the same page. As a matter of fact, it's a big part of what we do in representing doctors through this process and assuring that these different parties are going to be pulled together and everything's being done in a timely manner that's aligned with the vision within the budget and focused on the goals for you, the doctor cold starting your practice. So we touched on floor plan, master budget, architect and design team. We referenced the contractor. And this next piece, which is so extremely important in office location and build out, and that is production schedules. You may recall in the last episode, we were talking about lease negotiations and a period of rent abatement. And typically that rent abatement is going to line up with that time during which the renovations and the build out will be taking place, namely that time which you will be responsible for the lease but will not be collecting revenue. So landlords are open to giving rent abatement. But this is where that production schedule comes into play. Because if you've signed a lease and you have a 120-day rent abatement, it's not a good thing if the build out of the space is going into day 121. So again, having those production schedules and really addressing those as soon as possible in the process. Those production schedules have got to be there, they've got to be visible, and they've got to be agreed to by all parties. So I touched on a few things here regarding design optimization. And well, now let's jump into a few of the key considerations regarding your furniture and equipment. And again, look, this is an area you as a viewer probably already know the furniture and equipment that you see in your vision. But this is where we get into everything. I mean, look, we're talking about the full office furnishings. So I want you to think of office furnishings, all aspects of the practice. So front of the house being that greeting space, that waiting room space, the optical space, getting into the administrative offices for your team, for your personnel, obviously getting in back of the house and the clinical side of things and what have you. And look, the list goes on, right? Absolutely. But it's important to have this itemization of all of the furnishing needs across the practice from front to back. And look, y'all, I'm talking about everything from some really cool specialized, raising and lowering exam chairs and all that stuff, all the way through to like a filing cabinet. By the way, I can't believe I just said filing cabinet. Who uses paper files anyway? Goodness. So really understand what those furniture needs are going to be throughout the office. From here, get into equipment. It's really important to understand exactly what the clinical equipment needs are going to be. Now, mind you, by this point in the process, a lot of these decisions have been made to some degree, right? Because if you think about it, even going back to the very beginning of this process, when you're establishing your vision, creating your business plan, this is where a lot of this stuff kind of comes out, right? Regarding the scope of care and materials that you want to provide to your patients. So not only is clinical important, but obviously optical is vitally important. Optical furnishings, optical equipment. And then in addition to that, any other specialty equipment or furniture needs. You know, we're in a fascinating time right now where there's so many specialties emerging in modern eye care. And as such, increasingly these may warrant specialty furniture or specialty equipment to provide those services. So when you put it all together, to wrap up not only this area on design optimization, furniture and equipment in your office, but really this whole section we've spent these last 4 episodes on, office location and build out. Again, this is all about finding that ideal location for your practice based on your vision, budget, and goals. Hey, we hope you found this stuff valuable. Sure, you probably have some questions, so reach out to us. You can email us at contact@akrinos.com. If you're viewing this on the socials or at our YouTube channel, definitely leave a comment. Be sure to tag us. We'd love to connect, answer any questions you have. For more great stuff like this, follow the Cold Start Corner at Akrinos.com. Definitely subscribe to our YouTube channel and be sure to keep in touch with us across the socials. So no matter where you are, no matter what point you're at in your Cold Start journey, we are wishing you all the best. And on behalf of all of us here at Akrinos, Eric Matei signing off.